لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كما أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشاها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. أفلح من على محمد وآل محمد. رحم الله من قبل الفاتحة.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. करबो बला नसीब से जाना नसीब हो करबो बला नसीब से जाना नसीब हो फिर लौट कर वहाँ से नाना नसीब हो ऐसा दरे हुसैन पे सजदा हो आखिरी ऐसा दरे हुसैन पे सजदा हो आखिरी फिर मुझको अपना सर ना उठाना नसीब हो फिर लौट कर वहाँ से नाना नसीब हो। मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु हाय ज़ैनब लुट रही है ए अज़ीज़ो तुम कहाँ हो सूए कूफा जा रही है ए अज़ीज़ो तुम कहाँ हो हाय ज़ैनब लुट रही है ए अज़ीज़ो तुम कहाँ हो मेरे हाशिम के जवानों जुल्म से हम नो के नेज़ा सज चुकी है बीबियों की पूरी दाएं, हम पे हर शे रो रही है। ए अजीजो तुम कहाँ हो? हमको दुर्रों से बचाए कोई एक तो सुन ले नोहा। गश्ते गुर्बत कर रही है आज हम पर खुद भी गिरिया। मेरी दुनिया लुट गई है। ए अजीजो तुम कहाँ हो? जिसको महमिल में सजा कर लाए थे मैं हूँ वो ज़ैनब। अपनी निगरानी में रख कर लाए थे मैं हूँ वो ज़ैनब। आज तन्हा हो गई है। ऐ अज़ीज़ो तुम कहाँ हो? जिसका अब्बा सिस्ता भाई हो उसे गम क्यों रुलाए? मेरी उम्मी दो पे पानी कौन होगो जो फिराए? अब क़यामत आ गई है। ऐ अजीजो तुम कहाँ हो? आले अहमद सह न पाएंगे सितम के ताज़ियाने। फूल से चेहरे पे पड़ते शिम्र के हैं वो तमाचे। बेबसी अब छा गई है। ऐ अजीजो तुम कहाँ हो? मेरे बाबा मेरे बाबा शिम्र मुझको है डराता। सूए मक़तल रोक के देती है सदा में सकीना। खाक पे सो न सकी है। ऐ अजीजो तुम कहाँ हो? एक जावा ऊंटों पे है ओले तो हो वो हुसैना, हाथ बांधे कैद होकर जा रहे हैं वह गरीबा, आज ज़हरा रो रही है। ऐ अजीजो तुम कहाँ हो, हाय ज़ैनब लुट रही है। ऐ अजीजो तुम कहाँ हो, सोए कूफा जा रही है। ऐ अजीजो तुम कहाँ। सूरह मुबारकत अल-फातिहा।
Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Just a few announcements. Me, if you can get the slides up. You can change them for me, please. Just a few things. So we're at the year end. I know many of you have asked for the receipts for the year. Those right now we're just finalizing and just going through and proofing them this weekend. Inshallah, you'll have them in your emails by the 31st. If you do not see them in your email, we're getting a lot of people telling us that you're not getting our announcements via email as well. It's not on our side. We can check. If you ever have issues with any email stuff, we can check on our side. However, please do check on your side. There are many things that are changing, especially with Gmail. I saw the announcement. They're getting a little bit more firmer with spam and junk mail. So please check your spam junk mail folders first. And what you can do, if you know how to do this, is you can go in and you can add us to your safe sender list, so you will not, these emails won't bounce. Right? So if you, best thing to do is just put @sijpa.org in your safe sender list. All our emails, we come from Madrasa, from the management committee, be the weekly announcement, which is another system, you'll get all of them. Okay? If you don't know how to do this, you can see myself, you can see Brother Shane or Brother Ali, and we'll help you with that. Okay? But these emails will come out, like I said, by the 31st. And if you still didn't get it, you can send an email to secretariat@sijpa.org and we'll get it to you. So right now, our database, if you filled out the census, remember how important that was? We're using those emails. So if you didn't fill out the census, again, see Brother Shane or Brother Ali, you still can fill out the form. But for the time being, you're probably not in that system that will send these things out. So you may not get it if you didn't fill that out. The other thing that we're doing, we just finished the acquisition of our financial systems. We're changing from QuickBooks, which is a very clunky, outdated tool, something new, which is designed for our type of organization. I'll talk more about this another day. But the new system basically is designed for organizations like us. And again, we're getting ready to move to that new facility. The new facility will have other things, much more higher expenses, as I think I mentioned when we had the meeting in 2021. We explained that the expenses are going higher. More expenses mean we're going to need more revenue. I'm going to talk in a couple of slides about the school. We're going to need to hire staff. And so the system is designed to do that. The other thing that we're able to do with this new system is we're able to integrate it. So if you haven't used or downloaded the mobile app, everything is on here. Right now, if you want to see the future schedule, the schedule is done till the end of May. Your Ramzan speakers are also in the app. We've announced all this stuff in there. So when we have that stuff, it's already in the system. You go in advance, right? We're already working on June to the end of the year because we have to submit that before the end of this month to the church for the scheduling, for getting the facilities. If we don't do that, then we miss out on getting things that when we need them, we don't get them. So all this stuff is now we're working 5-6 months in advance. And that's reflected in the app. So when we get that schedule out, it gets published here. Everything is one system. I'll talk again another day of the things that we've done to really, on the technology side, not a topic for tonight, another night, but I'll spend more time with that. But a lot of work has gone into this. The new financial system, we plan to get it implemented 100% by the end of March. And along with that is a new payment system as well. So a lot of things have changed, right? We like to pay with Venmo, we like to pay with Zelle, sometimes we like to text our donations, and we do all of that. So that's currently in the works. It's better than our last system. And the nice thing is, once we integrate it with the app, your receipts will be right here as well. So you can log in and you can see the receipts for your household. Remember, we took household information in the census. So for example, Nisar, if you give a donation, and Nazbai gives a donation, it goes both under your individual names, but you can see it under one household. And at the end of the year, when you write your statement, it does it for the whole household. So these are the things that I think will improve. I know the issue of receipts has been a thing, and we changed it to the once-a-year letter, but this gives you instant access. As soon as you make the donation, as soon as we log it in the books, you have access right away to see what it is. And you can print your own receipts from that. Okay, next slide, guys. Additional projects that we're working on. This is, again, a very busy year. There's a lot of work. What you see is the tip of the iceberg. When you come here and see this is about 5% of what we do. A lot of this stuff happens behind the scenes, and for that, we need people to help with that, right? A couple of the things that we're working on last year, or when we moved out of the mosque, we took 2 places for our storage. One was the garage that was part of the house behind the mosque, stuff that we have there that doesn't get spoiled with heat and weather and cold. And then we had to get a climate-controlled facility for all our books, our paper, our records, at another storage facility. We started with that place under contract for about $195 a month. And they slowly increase it. Legally, I guess they're allowed to do that. It's up to $400 a month. That is ridiculous. So we found somewhere else we need to move. So we're looking to get that done before the month of Ramadan. I'm going to need volunteers, about 5 or 6 to help. We need to move everything from the current climate control storage to a new location, right? Part of that as well, there are a lot of boxes, we have a lot of records, okay, taking up a lot of space. We're already, and again, when I talk about the technology that we've implemented, we have gone to paperless. So all the new things that we get, the bills and everything's electronic. However, by law, by regulation, we can't just throw paper away. We can't throw records away, right? By the state and also the federal guidelines, the records that we have to keep, some of them are required to be kept permanently. For example, all financial documentation, all financial transactions have to be permanent records, right? These speeches that I give or we give have to be recorded and kept for a certain period of time. You can't throw them away, right? So there are boxes and boxes of things that we have. Now, in those boxes are things that we don't need, right? Old manuals, flyers for programs that we had. Those we don't need to keep, right? So we have about, 20 boxes, more? I lost count, of things that we have to go through, sort through, but things that we need to keep, we need to scan electronically so we can save them electronically. And everything else that we don't need, we can discard, shred, and throw away. But this is a major project for this 2024. By the end of the year, we need to get this done, right? Everything that we're doing, brothers and sisters, to make things, like I said, it's rebuilding. It's starting from the ground, making sure everything done as best as we can correctly, right? So I will be reaching out to volunteers. If you want to help and you're available to help with the move, we're planning to do that before the end of February. We're going to get a truck, need some muscle, and we're going to move it in one day. It take about 3-4 hours put everything on the truck, and unload it at the new facility. So if you're able to help us, please reach out to myself or Brother Shane, and then we'll coordinate. The other thing that's not on here right now is our media team. We expanded the media team. We originally had 2. We've added Brother Kazim Ratansi and Brother Muhammad Ali Hussain to the team. We need to add 2 more. They're on a rotation. And these are all young people that are going to school. Right? They have homework, they have activities, right? And we need other people to step up. Now, the requirements for being on the media team, there are 2 requirements. Number 1, you have to have good grades. If you're not doing good in school, I want you to focus on school. That's where you need to spend your time. If you're getting good grades, okay, you can join or ask to join the media team. We're looking again for 2 volunteers. And then the other requirement is you have to be here 30 minutes. It takes 30 to 45 minutes to set all this up. You go downstairs, bring the card, connect the thing, bring the speakers out, get the live stream started. You need to be here a half hour before and plan to stay half hour later because everything then has to be put back, locked up, taken back downstairs. Right? So if you can do this, please see myself or Brother Shane. We'll get you trained. Okay? Now, when I was thinking about this earlier, when I make this announcement, I want to be fair to everybody. I don't want to exclude anybody. So young ladies, if you want to be part of the media team, I have a plan to make this work where you're back there and there's no other gents around there. So I'll give you ladies' nights to also do the media work if you want to do it. In the new mosque, the plan is to have a setup just like this in the room in the back to run the media. And at times you have the ladies' programs as well. You need to know how to do this. So this would be a good time to get started, learn the process so you can be part of this as well. Next slide, thank you. All right, I talked about the micro school. We do have plans to open up the micro school by September. For those of you who may not have heard these announcements, the micro school is a hybrid school. It is an online school run by the Sabah Center, the Rise Academy that they have online. We do have 2 or 3 kids in our community today that are already part of this, but we need to expand it. So what the micro school is, it is a hybrid, meaning they will still come to a facility like this. We have 2 rooms already planned to use here. And we will have a coach, learning coach, teacher here that we need to hire, 1 or 2, so main teacher and an assistant. And the kids will come, they will do their online classes with the professional trained teachers online. But then as well, the whole idea is of homeschooling is they don't get to interact with anybody. So by having them in an environment there with other peers, learning together, having activities together, like in the gym or field trips, things that we'll coordinate here locally, is a benefit. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the benefits of the Islamic education, kind of the homeschooling, but in an Islamic controlled environment. When we had the meeting last year, we had about 32 families participate in this, right? We're going to schedule another meeting. February 17th is when we have this planned. And in order to get this started, we need 12 kids to do this, right? To make it feasible, because there's a fee, obviously you pay to Sabah for the Rise Academy, and there's a fee you have to pay here to us because we have to pay the teacher. So, and the local coach and the assistant here. So this next meeting will recap. So if you missed the first one and you want to know more about this, you're welcome to come here. We'll spend the first 10 minutes recapping what the micro school is, what Sabah and the Rise Academy has to offer, okay? Why they're a good school to put in, they're accredited. They get their kids into good schools like Stanford and Caltech and other places like that. But we're going to mostly focus on what's going to take for registration, what are the requirements, cover the curriculum, review of the fees that are involved, and then we're going to do a day in the life walkthrough. So you know when you bring your child here, from the moment you drop them off to the time they leave, what they're going to be doing. All right? And again, if we get 12 kids to do this, we're going to be able to do this, right? The other thing that we're working on, again, this is all leading up to the mosque, right? All the stuff that we're doing has a purpose for the future, okay? We didn't put 18 classrooms in there for no reason. There's a reason why we have all those classrooms in 2 floors and the library and everything that's going on over there for a reason. The plan was, and Brother Ghulam asked me for 2 things. I don't want anything for all this. I just want you to work on 2 things. One of them was an Islamic school. That's very important. Okay? We were talking the other day, and he told me about this program that the state does, and I looked into it, and this is a very intriguing program. The state of Pennsylvania has a program. We have to apply for it, and it doesn't happen overnight. This takes a year, maybe 2 years to get approved. But they have a program where we all pay taxes. Who doesn't pay taxes here? State taxes. Most everybody's paying state taxes. And if you're a business, you pay more. Okay? The state tax is 3% for an individual. For a corporation, it's 8.99, let's just say 9%. Okay? This program here, what it allows us to do is we set up a charitable foundation. And say, Brother Murtaza, right? I'm just going to use an example, Brother Murtaza. You make more than this, but say you make $100,000 a year. Your state tax is 3%, $3,000. You will give that $3,000 and donate it to this charitable foundation. In return for you doing so, the state will give you a 90% tax credit. What's a tax credit? Yes, can you shout it out? What's a credit? You get money back, right? So 90% of 3,000 is what? 2,700. You're going to get that back. Okay. So you pay $300, but you're supporting our community. You're supporting your community, right? What in turn this money allows us to do, that's collected in this organization, is be able to give a grant to the kids who are applying to the school. Okay, so if you qualify for the grant, you basically are getting the tuition paid for through the funds that are given to this foundation. Right? This is a great program. Right? So we looked into it. There's just some follow-up. We're going to fill out the paperwork. We're going to apply. Right? And as we get more details, I will share completely what this is. Right? But this is exciting because this is good. Who's going to pay 10 grand, $9,000? I can get them, send my kid to public school for free. Well, you can send them here and get a grant to do so. And again, they're going to be in an Islamic environment, right? Becoming an issue, sending our kids to public school, stuff that's out there. And there's more stuff Madrasa will be announcing in the coming week or so that they're doing, again, to educate our children, also the parents, of the dangers of what is happening in school, right? So stay tuned for that announcement. Next slide, guys. Just quickly, mental health first aid. We have 26 people that registered for this. It is on Saturday, February 10th. We still have 4 seats available. So if you're still interested in this, you can let us know and you can apply for this. For those members who have registered, payment was due at the time of registration. If you did not pay, if you can please do so by this Monday, the 29th. American Health Muslim Professionals will be sending you an email direct. So if your registration is totally complete, you fill out the registration, you made the payment, you will get an email from them for the pre-post work that you need to complete before the 10th. So 1 week, starting February 3rd, you're going to start sending emails out with the pre-work, which is about 1 to 2 hours. Do it quickly. And that's stuff that you to do prerequisite before the 10th, before you come out for the certification course. Right? And again, if you're interested, we have 4 seats left. I encourage members who are working with children in the madrasa, or people who work with children, people who plan to be leaders of this community in the future. This is the time to get the training. Right? So step forward and get this done. Ladies Committee is asking for, requesting anybody who can assist. I think Nergis Bhai sent me a text earlier. So please see Nergis Bhai. They're looking for help with making puris for next week. We're working on it. Again, donations, brothers and sisters, these programs, these 2 months particularly, Rajab and Shaban, are besides Ramzan, Muharram, and Safar, are our most expensive month, having to bring in speakers and do all these programs. You can please donate generously to this, especially the Sufro that's coming up next Saturday. You can do online right now or see any one of us from the management committee. We would appreciate that. So we'll continue with the program, Brother Kazim.
Let's all recite 5 times I am Yujibu for all those who are in need of du'as here and all around the world. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ 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 أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم صل على محمد وآل سورة المباركة الفاتحة. Inshallah, after the program up here, after ziyarat, we will have chai downstairs. So please join us for that in the gymnasium. And with that, let's all welcome Sayyid Bilal Rizvi with a loud Sallu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على إمام القبلتين ونبي الحرمين وأفضل الثقلين وجد الحسن والحسين الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين والذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على صاحب الدعوة النبوية والسولة الحيدرية والإسمة الفاطمية والحلم الحسنية والشجاعة الحسينية والعبادة السجادية والمآثر الباقرية والآثار الجعفرية والعلوم الكاظمية والحجج الردبية والجود التقوية والنقابة النقوية والهيبة العسكرية والغيبة الإلهية. اللهم عجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه. أما بعد، فقد قال الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوحا وآل إبراهيم وآل عمران على العالمين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, a second salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the hastening of the reappearance of the master of our time, a louder salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The verse in question is a verse which says, Inna Allah istafa Adama wa Nuhan wa ala Ibrahima wa ala Imrana ala al-alameen. That indeed Allah has chosen Adam and Nuh and the progeny of Ibrahim and the progeny of Imran, the father of Maryam, over the rest of those upon this earth. When we look within the Quran, we find that the virtues of Ahlul Bayt are full within the Quran. Sometimes there are verses which are more direct in addressing them. For example, the verse which each and every one of you know, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. That indeed Allah has kept all impurities away from you, O family of the Prophet. Or a verse which says, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. That, O Prophet, say to them that I ask for nothing in return except love for my progeny. But then there are other places within the Quran that require a reflection. And when we reflect over these verses, we'll begin to see that they demonstrate the virtues of Ahlul Bayt in a different manner. And amongst those verses over here is this ayat which speaks about Allah selecting a group of people in humanity. You see, the word which this ayat uses is istafa, selection. Now, when it comes to this word, you find there are two elements. The first element is the element of choosing an intikhab. But the second element is that those individuals who are chosen by Allah, these individuals have been given certain qualities that nobody else has upon this earth. That's why, for example, when the Quran, it speaks of Maryam and it uses the word selection and istafa, the Quran, it says what? It says, istafaki wa taharaki wa istafaki ala nisa'il alameen. That Allah has chosen you, O Maryam, and purified you, and Allah has given you qualities. You see, there are certain qualities that Maryam has that no one else had. Maryam, she gave birth without a husband. Maryam would be within the prayer niche, and you find that she would be taken care of from all aspects. But over here, when this ayat, it uses the word selection, it also mentions the progeny of Ibrahim. The question which comes up when this ayat of the Quran says, Alu Ibrahim, is the family of Rasulullah included in Alu Ibrahim? You see, the entire Muslim Ummah is in agreement that within Salat, your prayer is not accepted unless you send salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. That within our prayer, we have Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad after the tashahhud. And you find the longer version is found within the Salat of those who are within other schools of thought. Now, even though everyone is in agreement that the prayer is not complete until you send salawat upon Alu Muhammad, the question revolves around what does the word al mean? You see, on one side, this verse is saying Alu Ibrahim. And you find in salawat, we're saying Alu Muhammad. Now, the question is that the word al or ahl, both of them which have been used, is this limited to the progeny of the Prophet, the Imams, the Ahlul Bayt as we know it, or is it more wider? You see, there are many in the Muslim Ummah, they said that when we say Al Muhammad or we say Al Muhammad, what is meant by this is the entire Muslim Ummah. In other words, when we send salawat, it means that you and I are included. But when you look within the narrations and you look in the other ayat of the Quran, the word al is specific to the family of an individual that one returns to. You know, there's one problem with this theory as well, that many will reply by saying that when you look in the Quran, it also says, وَإِذَا نَجَّيْنَاكُم مِّنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ, that we have saved you from the family of Pharaoh. Over here, this means the people of Pharaoh. But the traditions of Ahlul Bayt are adamant that even this ayat over here is referring to the family of Fir'aun and those who can have a difficulty upon the people afterwards. Now, this entire discussion, why I began it, is that when Allah selects a group of individuals, He gives them qualities. When it comes to Rasulullah, when it comes to the A'immah, you find that there were certain qualities that they were given. That knowledge is there, isma is there, they're selected by Allah. But there are certain members of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that even though they were not prophets, nor were they A'imma, you find in many ways they were still an example of Alu Ibrahim and Alu Rasulullah. And from amongst those personalities is Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam. You know, this ayat which I said at the beginning of this lecture, it applies to Sayyida Zainab and those individuals from Ahlul Bayt who are not imams or prophets, but they have a great status. And amongst the proofs for this is that this ayat, Inna Allah istafa Adam wa Nuhan wa ala Ibrahim wa ala Imran, Imam al-Hussein recited this ayat on the day of Ashura upon the shahadat of Hazrat Ali. The fact that Imam al-Hussein picked this ayat out of all of the verses of the Quran goes to demonstrate that even though Ali Akbar alayhi salam was not a Nabi nor was he an Imam, he is still an example of this ayat. And in this way, Sayyida Zainab is also an example of this ayah. You see, what is the status of Sayyida Zainab? Sayyida Zainab is that personality that Imam al-Hussein put his complete trust in her to spread the message of Karbala in the way that he wanted it to. You see, that statement isn't a small statement. Is there anyone within this hall that would trust another person 100%? In the sense that you can point towards somebody else and you can say that that person represents me 100% in every single action. You know, it's very difficult to find somebody who you're completely in line with. But no, this is that personality whose message, whose resemblance with Imam al-Hussein was such a resemblance that history has remembered her as Sharikatul Hussein, the one who was the partner of the Imam, the one who was with Sayyid al-Shuhada. And in that manner, you find there are many narrations which highlight her status. You know, there's one narration that Hakima, the daughter of Imam al-Jawad, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, an individual comes and he asks her a question. And that individual begins to ask about the 12th Imam. And that individual asks that can there be representatives outside of the Imam who can deliver a message? You know what the daughter of Imam al-Jawad said? She said that was Sayyida Zainab not the representative of Imam al-Hussein? That was she not that personality that when Imam Zainul Abidin was in a state of illness, she is the one who would speak to those individuals who were in front of her and give the message of Karbala. You know, this is that personality that when they go towards Kufa, there was a companion by the name of Abdullah ibn Afif. Abdullah ibn Afif was from amongst the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And amongst those trials within Kufa is when Sayyida Zainab goes into the court of Ibn Ziyad, the governor of Kufa at that time. You know, Sayyida Zainab, when she begins to speak to Ibn Ziyad, and she says to him those famous lines which have been recorded in one of her two sermons, this Abdullah ibn Afif would say that, is it Ali ibn Abi Talib who is speaking once again in Kufa? That this is that personality, that the virtues of Ahlul Bayt were incarnated within Sayyida Zainab. And in that manner, you find that Ismat was in Sayyida Zainab as well. Now, what do I mean when I say that Ismat and infallibility was in Sayyida Zainab? Does this mean that she was ma'asum in the way that Anbiya are ma'asum, in the way A'imma are ma'asum? You know, there's one type of Isma which is specific to the Anbiya and the A'imma. And that type of Isma is necessary. Necessary in the sense that if you are going to be God's prophet, and you are going to be God's representative, if you're making mistakes, then there is a room of doubt that opens up on God's religion. That if an individual is a prophet and he is making mistakes in front of you, then how do you know if he made a mistake in delivering the religion or he didn't? In that sense, you find one form of Isma is necessary. And that form of Isma is through a knowledge which is given by God, that these individuals, they know the outcomes of actions, and because of the outcome of actions of harm and benefit, they only go towards those acts which are positive. But then there is another type of Isma. And that type of Isma is when the intellect of an individual is able to control his desires. and control their other aspirations. In that sense, you find this type of isma is with many other members of Ahlul Bayt as well. Sayyida Zainab, Ali Akbar, Aba Fadl Abbas alayhi salam. You know, this type of isma is that imagine you have a person who becomes a master of that craft. For example, you have a surgeon who fixes the wounds on the bodies of various individuals. That person can become so good at his craft that no matter what he's feeling, whether he's tired, whether he's hungry, whether he has any other difficulty in his life, he'll be able to do his job effectively. That his aql will be able to overtake the other aspects of human life. In the same way, you find that this type of isma, which is in Sayyida Zainab, which is in Aba Fadl Abbas, which is in Ali Akbar, this type of isma is because their intellect is always focused upon what the deen of Allah wants. And in that reality, you find this is that personality who was titled Aqilatu Bani Hashim. You know, there is a difference in the Arabic language between the word aqil and aqil, or aqila and aqila. For a person to be intelligent, in a moment you can call them aqil or aqila. But a person who is always in a state where their intellect, it shines, their intellect, it remains with them, you call that individual aqila. And you find this is seen, that you and I, whenever we have some hardship, whether it's financial or health or the passing of a family member, we're not able to think clearly oftentimes. That isn't it the case that because of worry, you're not able to focus on many things that you want to focus upon? But this is that personality who went through a musibah like Karbala, that in front of her, her children are slaughtered. And in front of her, her brother is slaughtered. They face thirst for 3 days. They face hunger for 3 days. After that, they're taken as captives, paraded through that land where their grandfather Rasulullah would rule. But despite all of these difficulties, this is that Sayyida Zainab, that when she goes to the body of her brother, she doesn't complain. And she doesn't turn to Allah and say, oh Allah, why did this happen to us? But rather this one moment, which has been recorded in the Maqatil, this one moment is enough to show her greatness. And that is that moment that when she goes to the body of her brother for the first time, she looks at the body of her brother and she says, Rabbana taqabbal minna hadal qurban. She says, oh our Lord, accept this sacrifice from us. That how large of a statement is this, that at the body of your beloved, that despite all of these hardships, you remember what this entire movement was for. And in that way, you find this is that personality. When we say she is Sharikatul Hussein, it is because she understood the essence of Karbala. And she propagated the essence of Karbala in the most perfect of manners. You know, there's one narration that states that upon the 11th of Muharram, as Imam Zainul Abidin salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, as Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam was going by the body of his father, it stated that the color on the face of Imam Zainul Abidin begins to change. And it was as if Imam Zainul Abidin was going to fall unconscious upon the ground. At that moment, Sayyida Zainab, she goes to Imam Zainul Abidin and she says, Atajudu bi nafsik ya baqiyata jaddi wa abi wa akhi? She says, O Sajjad, O the remnant of my grandfather, of my father, of my brother, why is it as if your soul is about to leave your body? And at that point, Imam Zainul Abidin replies that, oh my aunt, what can a son do when he sees the body of his father in such a manner? At that point, Sayyida Zainab, on the 11th of Muharram, after every difficulty, she demonstrates what level her understanding was. And when she demonstrates her understanding, she says to Imam Zainul Abidin. Now, Imam Zainul Abidin already knows the reality of Karbala. But Sayyida Zainab was wounding the heart of Imam Zainul Abidin with this reminder. And she says, O Sajjad, inna dhalika la ahdun min Allah ila jaddika wa abik wa rasulik, ila jaddika wa abik wa ammik, that, O Sajjad, what you see in front of you, the body of your father, the bodies of each of these companions, this was a covenant which Allah took from Rasulullah. And this was a covenant which your father and your uncle and your grandfather, each of them, they took this covenant. In other words, what do we learn from this lesson? What we learn from this statement, the lesson behind it, is that the A'imma alayhimus salam, they were acting out of their free will. But when they had made that covenant with Allah for guidance to reach you and I, they were willing to go through every difficulty for that guidance to reach us. And in that manner, we understand this from the statement of Sayyida Zainab. No, this is that Sayyida Zainab, when they go towards Sham and they reach Damascus in the modern day Levant, you find over there, it's stated that Sayyida Zainab, she begins to speak in that courtyard. And when she speaks in that courtyard, Imam Zainul Abidin addresses his aunt in a very specific way. At a point, Imam Zainul Abidin says, Uskuti ya amma, that, oh my aunt, keep quiet, in a way of respect, not in a way of disrespect, but keep quiet. Your message has been delivered, in other words. Anti bihamdillah alimatun ghayr mu'allama wa fahimatun ghayr mufahama. That the Imam says, oh my aunt Zainab, you are that learned lady that nobody had to teach you. And you are the one who understands, but nobody made you understand. Now, what does this mean? That Sayyida Zainab is a personality that she has knowledge, but nobody made her learn that knowledge. And nobody taught her that knowledge. You see, you and I, when we gain knowledge, we read, we study, we listen to lectures, we go through all of these methods. But there are certain personalities that Allah, He gives His own tajalli upon those personalities. And He manifests truths to those individuals because they struggle in the way of Allah. The verses of the Quran, they highlight this in many different places. For example, one verse says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who strive in our way, we will guide those individuals towards our paths. Or the Quran, it gives examples of personalities that even though they weren't stuck in a library reading and writing, but it says, وَأَلَّمْنَاهُ مِن لَدُنَّ إِلْمًا, that we have given them a form of knowledge which comes from us. And in that sense, you find Sayyida Zainab, she represents that form of knowledge. That is why each step within her life and each statement of hers that have been preserved within the maqatil, each of them is a lesson that you and I are seeking to derive lessons from. One of the things that we see in the life of Sayyida Zainab is that we see that patience was manifested at a level which has never been seen. You see, there is no maqtal. There is no maqtal, and I say this with full, authority in the situation, that says Sayyida Zainab cried before Sham. That when she saw each of these events in Karbala, Sayyida Zainab didn't cry. In Kufa, when the bodies of her children were in front of her, she didn't cry. It is only after she delivered her sermon in Sham that she says that may we have a house which we can cry in for these women, they haven't cried. The most you and I can do when it comes in our life is that those different incidents that happen within our life, we're patient and we have sabr. But Ahlul Bayt are those individuals, when hardship and calamity would come to them, they were not just at the level of patience, but rather they had reached the level of contentment. That no matter what hardship befell them, they were content with that hardship. Because they were not looking at the incident and they were not looking at the happenings, but they were looking at whom is the one that is the ultimate cause of these happenings. And if Allah is the ultimate cause, then you find in front of that recognition, everything else, it becomes small. And you find this is what we see within Sayyida Zainab. You know, if Imam al-Hussein, as one tradition of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, there's one tradition of Imam al-Sadiq where the Imam, he quotes Rasulullah and he says that the Prophet of God said, Inna al-Hussein misbahu huda. There's another shorter version that says misbahu al-huda wa safinatun najat, that he is the lamp of guidance and the ark of salvation. But this tradition, it says that he is misbahu huda, that he is the lamp of guidance. Wa safinatu najatin, and he is the ark of salvation. Wa imamu rahmatin wa fakhrin. He says that Imam al-Hussein is the Imam of mercy and he is the Imam of pride and fakhr as well. In other words, what does this line mean? What this line, it means is that if Imam al-Hussein is your Imam, then pride, naturally it comes towards you. A person who has nothing, a person who is in poverty, what reason does he have to be proud? But you find this tradition is saying that no matter what is given to you, no matter what is taken from you, as long as the shadow of Ahlul Bayt remains over your head, then you find there should be pride within your heart. And amongst those members that we take pride in is Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam. You know, one of the key functions of Sayyida Zainab, aside from her spiritual qualities that many of you know, one of the important roles of Sayyida Zainab is that the event of Ashura would not have reached us if it wasn't for Sayyida Zainab preserving that event. You know, many people, they ask this question, I'll conclude upon this question, is they say that if everyone died on the day of Ashura on the side of Imam al-Hussein from amongst the men, and those on the opposite side were the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, then who is it that recorded this event of Karbala? And who is it that preserved this event and allowed it to reach us? You see, there's many different levels to this question. The first answer is without a doubt that Sayyida Zainab, when we look in the Maqatil, many of the statements about what happened on the day of Ashura, it comes from Sayyida Zainab. It comes from Kulthum. It comes from amongst those women that remained alive. That's one level of the answer. Another level of the answer is that there were many male companions on the side of Imam al-Hussein who fought on the day of Ashura, but they were not martyred on the day of Ashura. You know, one famous example that most of you know is the example of the son of Imam al-Hassan by the name of Hassan al-Mutanna. Hassan al-Mutanna, on the day of Ashura, he was wounded, and you find that his mother's tribesmen, they take him to Kufa, and he survives. This individual who outlived the event of Ashura, he narrated many of these incidents. There was another individual, for example, by the name of Ad-Dahak al-Mashraqi. Ad-Dahak al-Mashraqi, he met Imam al-Hussein on the journey. And when he met Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he said, "Oh Hussein, as long as there is a chance, as long as you have supporters, I am with you. But the moment you are alone, then allow me to go and tend back towards my family." Imam al-Hussein gives permission towards this individual. This individual on the day of Ashura, when the Imam was alone, and he says, "Ala hal min nasirin yansuruna," that is there anyone to help me? You find this individual says, "Oh Imam, you remember our deal that we have made," paraphrasing in my own words, the Imam says, yes, I remember, you are free to go. You find that there were individuals that they did not have the tawfiq of shahad on that day. And these individuals, they would record the events on the day of Ashura. And you find that many of the final events that we see, the way that it was preserved was within our ziyarah literature. And amongst those ziyarat is ziyaratun nahiya. You know, ziyaratun nahiya describes the masayib on the day of Ashura in a manner which is unparalleled. That Imam Zaman within that ziyarah, when he addresses his grandfather, he says, Assalamu ala shafa'id dabilat, wassalamu ala juyub al-mudarrajat. That he says, salam be upon the dried lips of my grandfather Hussein. And salam be upon the blood-covered chest of my grandfather Hussein. And salam be upon those teeth that they would be hit with a stick within that court in Sham. But in one place you find that Imam al-Zaman, he remembers the masayib of his aunt Sayyida Zainab. When Sayyida Zainab saw the body of Imam al-Hussein for the first time. He says that point it comes when the women, they come out of the tent. And when they come out of the tent, you find that they would cry and they would wail. You know, it's stated that when Imam al-Hussein was within his final moments, and his body was covered in arrow after arrow, the army of Umar bin Saad was surrounding Sayyid al-Shuhada from all sides. Sayyida Zainab at that moment, she comes out of the tent to look at the body of her brother. And when she comes out of the tent, she says one line, she says, A'anta akhi, that are you my brother Hussein? And then she looks towards Medina and she says, Ya Rasulullah, Hada al-Hussein al-Murammalu bid-dima, that, O Rasulullah, look at your Hussein today, O Rasulullah. Your Hussein's body is covered in wounds. It is covered in blood. You find Imam al-Hussein that even in that final moment when wound after wound was upon his body, he made sure to look towards Sayyida Zainab. And he says, Ya Zainab, irja'i al-fustat, Ya Zainab. O Zainab, return to the tent. Oh Zainab, don't look at this final moment, oh Zainab. You find that after that, Sayyida Zainab, she would be taken from Kufa, she would go towards Sham. But one of the most difficult moments in the life of Sayyida Zainab is when they returned to Medina after the day of Ashura. You know, it's stated that the first thing she does is that she goes to the grave of Rasulullah. And when she goes to the grave of Rasulullah, she says, Ya Jadda, Ya Rasulullah, oh my grandfather, if there weren't non-mahram over here, I would show you those marks upon my arms when they would take us from Kufa to Sham. After that, she goes to the grave of her mother Fatima Zahra. And when she goes to the grave of Fatima Zahra, it's stated that she places the shirt of Imam al-Zainab. She returns towards her home. And when she returns towards her home, but then that moment it comes that Sayyida Zainab, the one who didn't cry in Karbala in Kufa, the moment she goes into the room of her children, she says, Oh Muhammad, forgive your mother. She had promised her mother Fatima that if she would cry for her brother Hussein. But no, there was one more musibah in Medina. And that musibah is when Ummul Baneen, the mother of Aba Fadl Abbas, comes to Sayyida Zainab. You know what Ummul Baneen says when she sees Sayyida Zainab? She says, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Ummul Baneen says, oh Zainab, I am giving my condolences over your Abbas, that as long as Abbas was there, nothing happened to Aba Abdullah. La la'natullah ala al-qawm al-dhalimin, saya'lamu alladhina dhalamu ayyamun qalabin yanqalibun. Ya Allah, through the right of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, wherever the followers of Ahlul Bayt are in difficulty, help them. Wherever they're sick and ailing, cure them. Ya Allah, grant us the ziyarah of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Grant us the shafa of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Allow us to see the hastening of the reappearance of the 12th of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, Matam Hussein.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. मैं जाने नहीं देने की हजरत की सवारी, ऐ सैयदे मजलूम बहन हो गई वारी, मैं जाने नहीं देने की हजरत की सवारी, ऐ सैयदे मजलूम बहन हो गई वारी, मैं जाने नहीं देने की हजरत की सवारी, मैं जाने देने की हजरत की सवारी। दुखियारी हूँ भैया ना मेरी आस को तोड़ो, सदके गई परदेस में बहना को ना छोड़ो, तब जाइयो जब जी से गुजर जाएगी ज़ैनब, तब जाइयो जब जी से गुजर जाएगी ज़ैनब, हजरत ने कमर बांधी तो मर जाएगी ज़ैनब, ऐ सैयदे मजलूम बहन हो गई वारी, मैं जाने नहीं की हसरत की सवारी, मैं जाने नहीं की हसरत की वारी, दरगश्ता ज़माना हुआ मुँह तुम तो ना मोड़ो, मुझसे तो ना फरमाओ के हाथों को ना जोड़ो, मिन्नत भी करूंगी मैं कदम पर भी गिरूंगी, मिन्नत भी करूंगी मैं कदम पर भी गिरूंगी, सर नंगे मगर कैद में दर दरदा फिरूंगी, ऐ सैयदे मजलूम बहन हो गई बारी, मैं जाने नहीं ने की हसरत की सवारी, मैं जाने देने की हसरत। फरमाते थे सब बहनों में तू है मुझे प्यारी, जिस पर मुझे तुम छोड़ के जाते हो मैं वारी, दुनिया में रहे लाख बरस आप सलामत, दुनिया में रहे लाख बरस आप सलामत, बस जानती हूँ है मेरे माँ बाप सलामत। ऐ सैयदे मजलूम बहन हो गई बारी, मैं जाने नहीं देने की हजरत की सवारी, मैं जाने नहीं देने की हजरत की सवारी। या हुसैन या हुसैन, हुसैन या हुसैन, या हुसैन, हुसैन या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन। हैया ला खैरिल अमल, हैया ला खैरिल अमल। या हुसैन या हुसैन, हुसैन या हुसैन, या हुसैन। हैया ला खैरिल अमल, हैया खैरिल अमल। या हुसैन या हुसैन, हुसैन या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन। सज्जाद मैं ज़ैनब हूँ, मेरे सर पे रिदा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। सज्जाद मैं ज़ैनब हूँ, मेरे सर पे रिदा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। सज्जाद में मेरे सर पे रिदा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। सज्जाद में हूँ, मेरे सर पे रिदा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। मजमा है खूफियों का, मेरे चलने की जा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। सज्जाद में हूँ, मेरे सर पे रिदा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। मजमा है खूफियों का, मेरे चलने की जा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। सज्जाद हूँ, मेरे सर सज्जाद मेरे सर से 9 बार छिनी चादर, बलवे में नबी जादी फिर वाई गई दर दर। मिल जाए रिदा मुझको और मेरी दुआ कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। सज्जाद मेरे सर पे रिदा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। मजमा है खूफियों का, मेरे चलने की जा कोई नहीं, जफा। सज्जाद में ज़ैनब पे रिदा कोई नहीं, सज्जाद मेरे दिल को ये दर्द सताता है, सर गाजी कलेजे से जब खाक पे आता है। सर मेरा खुला देखे गम से बड़ा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा। सज्जाद मेरे सर पे रिदा कोई नहीं, जफा। सज्जाद सज्जाद चलूं कैसे, लाखों है तमाशाई, याद आता है रह के अब्बास मेरा भाई। फरियाद करूं तुझसे अब तेरे सिवा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा सज्जाद मेरे सर पे बाजार जफा सज्जाद कोई नहीं, सज्जाद तेरी हालत देखी नहीं जाती है, बेपर्दा मुझे देखे ये बात रुलाती है, सज्जाद तेरी तरह कांटों पे चला कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा सज्जाद मेरे सर पे रिदा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा सज्जाद मेरे सर पे रिदा कोई नहीं, बाजार जफा या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन अल्लाहुम्मा
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين شهيد بكربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليكم يا أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي السلام عليك يا حجة ابن الحسن يا صاحب العصر والزمان السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان ورحمة الله وبركاته